Beautiful ones, this is not a quiet week. This is the week where truth rises in your body before your mind has a chance to deny it. This is a week where the story you've lived inside cracks and a new future rushes in to replace it. So, if you felt something building, and I know you have, if you've felt something unspoken, something you can't go back to, this is that week, because the astrology, oh my God, is it crystal clear? When the truth shows up, your next 20 years begins. And you can already feel it in the world reflecting this energy. Collectively, we are watching systems strain under their own weight. We're seeing governments walking back statements they can't justify. Institutions revealing cracks people can no longer ignore. Leaders being forced into honesty they didn't even plan to speak. On a personal level, the same pattern is rising. Relationships that have been running on silence suddenly demand clarity. Financial decisions you've postponed are now asking for commitment. Old emotional agreements lose their grip. And the part of you that's been quiet starts telling the truth out loud. This week, truth doesn't stay polite. This week, it becomes directional. This week, it becomes structural. This week, it becomes the beginning of the next era of your life. So, the text you've rewritten 10 times suddenly needs to be sent. The boundary you've postponed becomes non-negotiable. The emotion, you know, the one you swallowed months ago, is ready to be spoken. I want you to know this isn't chaos. This is alignment. And this week, alignment doesn't whisper. It insists. Last week, if you remember, the universe asked you to reclaim your center. But this week, it's asking something even more powerful. It's asking, are you willing to live a life that tells the truth? Hello, beautiful ones. I'm Cindi, astrologer, mystic, and your guide through the stars. Welcome to Forecasts That Shift Timelines. This is the space where astrology stops predicting and starts awakening. Every week, we explore how the sky moves through your body, your choices, and your becoming. So if you're new here, take a deep breath, because you're not here by accident. You, my beautiful one, are right on time. So this week, we're going to be talking about what's happening between November 16th through the 22nd, right? So let's ground into the energy behind this week, all right? On November 16th, we have the sun right here and Lilith right here in Scorpio. And when these two are here, they're going to activate this Grand Water Trine, okay? This is with Jupiter and Saturn and Neptune, okay? And they're all retrograde and they're all in water signs, okay? So this is emotional truth. This is identity truth. This is soul truth. This is not the kind you can negotiate with. This is the kind that you feel. So personally, what could be coming up for some of you, if not all of us, you could be waking up with a realization that you can't unfeel, right? Or you may notice this week, and this isn't just starting this week, this has probably already started for a lot of you. You also may be noticing an anger or a grief that's rising without a clear reason. You could also be experiencing a memory surfacing because you're finally ready to face it. Or even some of you may have a sudden seeing someone's intentions with painful clarity. Okay. Now, on a societal level, these are things we might see. These are things we probably are already seeing by the time I release this video. One example would be a public figure revealing something that shifts a narrative. Okay. Pay attention to when I say these things. Quiet scandals suddenly coming to light. Okay. Also, financial or political reversals that expose hidden motives. Also, institutions losing control of a story that they tried to contain. The sky is mirroring the collective human moment. Truth is surfacing everywhere. Okay? Understand this. The sun in late Scorpio exposes what has been concealed. Lilith, right beside it, that sun is like exposing a lot. And Lilith, who sits right beside it, strips away the polite version and reveals the unfiltered self underneath. Together, they initiate the emotional unmasking that defines this entire week. There are going to be some truths. There are going to be some things that are hidden coming up. They are going to be revealed. Like I said, truth is surfacing everywhere this week. Okay, let's talk about the moon because that's one of the main aspects of what's going on this week. Okay, I'm going to be talking about the planets that are really affecting us this week, right? So the moon is one of them. This is the descent, the pressure, and the rebirth. Okay, so at the same time, the moon walks us through a wide transformation arc. Right now, she is going to be, she was in Libra. Okay, that's the balsamic phase. That's is resetting. She's been resetting relationships, weighing truth versus peace, right? Some personal examples would be like you notice who drains you versus who gives you light and restores you, right? You've probably been dealing with this a lot this last week or two. You see where you've been over giving and under receiving. We've talked about this, and if you've been watching me, you know exactly what I'm talking about right now. These aren't new words, okay? You feel the cost of keeping the peace, okay? Now, when the moon, because she's in Libra right now, and then she's going to go into Scorpio. So when she enters Scorpio this week, and that will be right there, next day, 17th, right? So when the moon enters Scorpio, this is the descent into what's real, okay? So the descent into truth. So pay attention to what's going on this week because there's secrets, resentments, desires, or fears. All these rise. These are all going to come to the forefront. Okay, so if there's secrets that you've been hiding, those are going to come up. If there's secrets that someone's been hiding from you, those are going to come up. Okay, if there's resentment, that's going to come forward. If there's desires, those things too, those things are good. What desires? Be honest with yourself. Okay, what fears do you have so that you can get through them? These are all things that are going to be rising this week. Also, something you've been avoiding is going to demand your attention. Okay. Also, your intuition, please pay attention to it because this week it's going to be louder than your logic. And there's a reason for that. You need to have that, okay? It's to help you have the direction and clarity to go where you're going to go next. And we're going to talk about that, okay? Now, during this time, we're going to have that grand water, right? Grand Water Trine right here with Saturn, Neptune in Pisces, Jupiter in Cancer, and then the sun with Lilith in Scorpio, okay, with the moon, sorry. So that emotional pressure. So a truth you've been holding is going to break open. Like we've talked about this already. You finally admit something to yourself. That could happen. Or a relationship reaches a moment of honesty. All right. Then on the 19th and 20th, we are going to have, this is just what the moon's doing. Okay. So On the 19th and 20th is where we're going to have that new moon. So the Scorpio new moon. Look at all this here. We've got Lilith, we've got the moon, we've got the sun, and we have Mercury. Okay. Um, with the Scorpio new moon, that's a reset. Okay. The release, the emotional doorway into a new chapter. That's what it's giving you with this conjunction. These two conjunctions that the new moon is happening, right? Now, an example in the world that we might see are markets reacting to behind the scene revelations, okay? Or maybe global alliances shift. Or this week, look for big tech facing new ethical scrutiny, okay? Or a major correction or reversal becomes public. You're going to see where there's going to be a correction or a reversal of something, okay? Now, this is where the moon's here, and then after that is when it moves into Sagittarius. Hold on just a second. There we go. Then it's going to move into Sagittarius, okay? So when the moon enters Sagittarius, where when it was in Scorpio, this was about with it being in Scorpio, this was about reset and releasing, right? But it's a new moon, so it's about what's coming next, right? But you have to release and let go and close out before you move into next. Well, when the moon goes into Sagittarius, that's the next, okay? So when the moon enters Sagittarius, that's about the release, the lift, and the new direction, okay? So your perspective, your movement, which way are you going? So you may get some clarity that finally, because I know that you guys have been experiencing this where it's kind of cloudy and you're not seeing it. But this week, when this happens, you're going to get very clear when it moves into Sagittarius. Okay. Also, your hope returns where you thought for a little bit, oh, I'm not going to be able to do that. That's going to turn around. All of a sudden, you're going to be like, yeah, of course I can do that. What was I thinking? Right. Also, you may realize you want, well, actually, what may happen is you may realize exactly what you must do next for what you want. Does that make sense? And then you also may feel like your courage returning. Okay. So this is the nervous system. Okay. This is the nervous system that you're dealing with the moon. Okay. Your nervous system. It's about reset, reveal, release, and then rise. Okay. That's what's going to happen as it moves from Scorpio into Sagittarius. Then the same week, starting on the 16th, we've got Venus. Venus is in Scorpio now. Okay, that's where desire gets honest and relationships get real. We've already been working on this. If you've never seen me, this is what we've been working on. You can look at the last couple 2-3 videos of forecast and you'll see that we've been working through this. Okay, so meanwhile, Venus moves from 12 degrees on the 16th to nearly almost 20 degrees by the 22nd. Okay. And these degrees, they intensify your desire, your truth in relationships. And this is a big one, your truth and honesty in your finances, your emotional transparency, and intimacy without performance. Okay. That's what's going to be intensified this week. That's what's going to be being brought up. Okay. To be true and real with yourself. So only what can stand in truth continues. Everything else begins to fall away. I've said this for the last 3 weeks and it's just continuing. It's only what's truth for you. It's not somebody else telling you it's the truth. It's not somebody else's truth. It's your truth that is going to continue. And everything else is going to fall away. Okay? So you may see this week as a sudden confession somebody makes or you make to someone. Or you could see it as a shift in a romantic dynamics. Or you can see it as clarity about who is truly aligned. Or you can see it as money matters surfacing to be dealt with. Or You could see it as emotional armor that you've had for a long time for protection dissolving. Okay. This is where the truth about desire, money, and intimacy, these things are becoming undeniable for you. Okay. You're getting very real and raw with this. This is Scorpio we're talking about. Okay. So, some more examples would be realizing you want more depth or truth in a relationship, right? Or maybe seeing through mixed signals or manipulation, or financial issues coming up and needing honesty, right? Intimacy becoming clearer, what you need versus what you're willing to tolerate, all right? And again, in society, financial markets exposing hidden instability. You're going to see that this week. Or you may have already seen it, some of you. Companies revising numbers or revealing losses. Sudden celebrity breakups or scandals around authenticity. You're going to see that. Or shifts in collective conversations around power and consent and truth. Okay, does that make sense? Shifts in collective. This is what we're going to be talking about around power, consent, and truth. Venus and Scorpio always, remember this, Venus and Scorpio always ask, is this real or are you pretending it's real? Then we have Mars and Sagittarius. Now, Mars just went into Sagittarius last week. Remember, if you're watching my videos, you can go see it last week. But Mars travels from 8 degrees to 13 degrees this week in Sagittarius. Okay. So Mars in Sagittarius is very direct. He's very honest. And most of all, he's impatient in getting the direction, right? He's very impatient in Sagittarius this way. So this energy adds the fire beneath the emotional truth. We are getting very truthful with ourselves and with society and with the people around us, right? But Mars over here is giving us that fire beneath it, okay? So what rises in Scorpio over here must eventually be expressed in Sagittarius. So what's felt must be chosen. All right. This is the fiery, directional, truth seeking energy. Now, this could show up as all of a sudden you're like, I want everything cut out, cut the crap, and finally just say what you mean. Don't worry about what people think or how they feel. You're just saying what you're finally supposed to say for you. Does that make sense? Now, also, it could come as refusing to stay stuck in old habits. Like you're seeing yourself stuck in old habits, and you're done with it. You're done. You're realizing it's a habit, and you realize you have a choice, and you're gonna move forward with it, right? Also, you could see it as feeling a sudden desire to move, change, or choose. Okay. And also, you can have this strong urge to tell the truth instead of just dancing around it. That has a lot to do with like I'm just cutting the crap. I'm just saying the truth now. Okay, like it's that kind of energy with that Mars in Sagittarius. Okay, but it's what's going on over here is going to be moved into here. Does that make sense? On a societal level, some of these we've already seen, but depending on when I release this, or by the time I release it, this kind of depends. So leaders this week, if not already, are being forced to answer direct questions. Okay, that's new, but you're gonna see it. Also, public backlash against vague narratives. Okay. Also, whistleblower revelations. You're gonna see that. Also, protests or public demands for clarity. Right? Just like we're seeing the clarity of our lives, we're going to want to see it out there too. We're going to demand it. Okay. This is the Mars. This is Mars and the moon and everything from Scorpio being moved into Sagittarius. Okay. So Mars says what breaks open must eventually move you forward. That makes sense? Now, then we have the story of Mercury retrograde. Okay. We talked about Mercury going retrograde last week. Mercury retrograde this week, you'll see, is going to go back into Scorpio. It was in Sagittarius. It's going to be at 29 degrees at the beginning. Okay. So it was at 1 degree Sagittarius right here. That's going to go back into Scorpio. You see it right here at the 27 at 27 degrees, but it's going to at 29, 28, 27. Okay, so it'll be around here for this week. Now, this retrograde, because it's connected to the sun, the moon, and Lilith over here, right? This retrograde is about the truth comes back. It has that kind of signature. Okay, so that energy that you're going to be feeling with Mercury, it's kind of what everybody thinks about Mercury. It's like things come back, people come back, situations come back. It's a lot of that energy this week. Okay, so maybe some of you, it may be a past conversation that's going to be resurfacing. For some of you, it's issues you thought that were handled are now returning for the real closure. Okay. It could also, for some of us, mean old messages, journals, or even memories suddenly making sense. You're like, oh my God, I saw it. I see it now, right? I thought I handled that. This is what I have to do to like really close it out, really do it right, right? Also, the truth or any truth that you or we have swallowed are going to be coming back up so that we can reevaluate them. Okay? So I know nobody wants to realize that about themselves, but if you have lied to yourself and then hidden it and put it down deep, it's going to resurface this week. Okay? So in the world, just like in our personal lives, we have the societal, global, world energy, right? And those examples would be like politicians walking back their statements. You may see some of that. Also, you could see companies revising public announcements. Also, old scandals resurfacing, but this time with new information. Like, this is about clarity, okay? This is not about like we're going to lie to them and show them a different direction and gaslight them. That's none of that. It's new information, but it's very clear. This is about the truth. We are dealing with Scorpio and Sagittarius. Okay. So also global miscommunication triggering a course correction. We could see that. All right. Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. Again, I'll say it one more time. Always, always uncovers what wasn't said the first time. So things will be coming back. It is going to feel like a true retrograde, a true Mercury retrograde, okay? This is where, when Mercury retrogrades in Scorpio, this is where the mind and the body reconnect. And the truth you feel becomes the truth you think. Okay, hang in there with me. Now that we've talked a little bit about what the personal planets are doing this week and how they're interacting, let's talk about the slower planets, the more undercurrent of our lives and reality and the world. Okay, so let's talk about Jupiter, Saturn, and Neptune, which are all in water signs and who are all retrograde. Okay, so to me, this is like the emotional backdraft and clarity that surges. Okay, so Jupiter at 25 degrees when we start. It's at 24 on the 20th, but it'll be about 25, right? Let me go back one day. Okay, so Jupiter at 25-degree retrograde in Cancer, right? Saturn at 25-degree retrograde in Pisces. Neptune at an anaretic 29-degree. And if you don't know what anaretic is, it's a very powerful degree because it's a closure of that's happening. Okay, it's like the ending cycles. It's the ending of a cycle. Okay, so these three together, they form the emotional foundation of the week. Jupiter wants to expand emotional truth. Saturn is setting the boundaries around that emotional truth. And Neptune, she's removing illusions surrounding it. So together, with this type of energy, you can't pretend not to know anymore. That's not a valid excuse anymore. Okay? Now, Jupiter Saturn, and Neptune. Okay. Some personal examples might be that you get a deeper emotional clarity. Like this, like I know some of you guys have been really digging in, especially those that are in my inner pathway circle. You're really digging in, you're really looking, and you're trying to go deeper. Well, this is the energy that's going to actually open that up for you and let you just, you don't even have to go deeper. It's just going to come to you, right? So you're going to get the clarity that you couldn't see before, right? Also, you could have sudden intuitive knowing. That has to do with like the deeper emotional clarity, but you're going to be very, very intuitive and psychic and knowing, because I mean, we've got the Neptune, who just takes out all the illusion, right? But we've got Jupiter that expands that for you. Okay. So also confronting a long-standing fear or long-standing fears that you've had that could come up this week. And also maybe emotional fatigue that finally just forces you faith to surrender. Okay. Jupiter has to do with faith. Neptune has to do with faith. Okay. This is about having not faith in someone or something. And this is about having faith in yourself. Okay. Now, when you have looked and you have looked and you have looked for the answer and you can't find it and you're so frustrated and you can't see it and you know the things that we do, right? When you finally are like, I've done what I can do no more. I'm just going to surrender. That is having faith in yourself, in the universe, in the way that you do things. Okay? That's what I mean. That's this energy that's coming up this week. Okay? Now, on a collective level, on a societal level, what we might see is leaks of hidden information coming out, right? We could also see systems revealing where their weakness are. Okay? Or spiritual or ideological scandals could come up this week. Or even sudden shifts in public faith or trust. Those could pivot this week because we are going to see some truths. Okay? That's exactly what this energy is about. So, once again, they're saying the same thing collectively or societally that they're asking us personally, or what they're asking us personally, these planets, this energy, it's asking on a societal level as well. And that is, you can't pretend anymore. You can't. Okay? So it's time for the truth. All right? Now, while all of that is going on, we have Uranus at an anaretic degree, right? We have Uranus and we have Neptune at an anaretic degree. And we have Pluto right at the entrance, the beginning of this sign of Aquarius, of this era, right? But with Uranus at 29 degree Taurus, that is got this trine going on to Pluto at 1 degree, that's a structural breaking point, right? So Uranus at this crisis degree of Taurus is linked to this Pluto at this founding degree of Aquarius. Okay. Now I want to let you know, this is the first time in our lifetime that these two are standing in this configuration. Okay. The anaretic Uranus shakes what's been stable for way too long. Okay. It's time for it to go. It's time for it to shake. We know there are structures, institutions, governments, things that need to be shaken. And that's what this is about. Okay. So, because it's been stable for way too long. Now, the early degree Pluto rewrites the architecture of your life and society. I have a whole Pluto series. If you've never seen me, I'll leave that up here. Okay. So Pluto rewrites the architecture of your life and society, right? This is the early degrees where Pluto's at in Aquarius. Okay. This is future energy pushing through present structures. Okay. And we feel it collectively by markets shifting directions like overnight. That can happen. Or global decisions being revised. Or, pay attention, policies collapsing under their own contradictions. Okay? Or even technology revealing ethical or structural flaws. Okay? Or even leaders being forced into honesty that they didn't intend to show. Okay? Now, personally, you could be feeling it like job changes or lifestyle pivots or sudden clarity about your purpose or realizations that reshape what you want. Okay? So, the question of the week, okay, that the energy is not only asking you personally, but us on a societal level and a global level. The world is being asked the same question you are, right? What is no longer true and what must replace it? That is Pluto at that early degrees with Uranus at that anaretic degree, okay? Let me tell you why this is so important. Because the moment you answer that, that's when the next 20 years of your life begin. That's where the next era starts for you. Okay? Everybody's going to answer it at a different time. Some of you are going to be really quick to answer it. Some of you are going to take another couple of weeks to answer it. Okay? So, just know the moment you answer that, that is where the next 20 years of your life begins. So I know I've already given examples, but I want to be very clear. And I know this is a little bit more lengthy, but I think it's so important for everybody. So the energy lands personally in very real ways this week, okay? So you may notice that a relationship you've been tolerating becomes impossible to ignore. That's this energy this week. Or a truth you've suppressed shows up in your body. Like maybe your chest is tightening, you can't breathe, the heat in your throat, restless energy, you can't sleep, right? That is all the truth being suppressed and trying to come out, okay? Or a financial or emotional entanglement is going to reach its breaking point. Or someone's words reveal more than they meant, and you can't unhear it. Or a desire or a boundary that you downplayed is rising again, like a tide. Okay? So I want you to know this is not punishment. This is precision. Okay? This is the universe removing the illusion layer by layer so you can see yourself clearly. How many times have many of you asked for that? This is that time. Okay? And clarity often arrives through friction. That's the way it works in this realm, in this life. Okay? So a conversation that doesn't go away or doesn't go the way you planned, or a secret that slips out, or a moment where you finally admit what you've known for months. This is Scorpio's final act. The soul sheds what is borrowed, but it's also Sagittarius's opening act. The soul chooses what it's ready to live. So, you may feel this in your physical body before you understand it mentally, which is what I said in the very beginning, right? Scorpio truth often arrives as a sudden knowing or a tightening before you speak, or maybe it comes like a wave of emotions you can't suppress, or it could come like a desire that feels like hunger. Or maybe it comes as a boundary that locks into place emotionally before you say it aloud. And as we move, this week is what this is what's going to be going on. And as you move towards the Scorpio new moon, the pressure is just going to build, okay, until the new moon, and then we release. You can release before then. I'm just saying the energy is there to release that, okay? So, very quickly, just to remind you, just so that you really embody this, let me give you sort of a timeline. I'm not going to go through every day, but sort of a timeline about the energies of that day, right? So on Sunday, today, the emotional revelation begins, right? This is Sun conjunct Lilith, activating that Grand Water Trine, right? This is old agreements dissolving. A truth rises from your body and you feel the shift coming, right? So you may wake up with some clarity about a person or a situation that you were unsure about yesterday, right? Now, we're going to move into Monday, and that's where the scales tip. This is the Libra. This is where the moon is in Libra at the final degrees, and you see what's unfair, unequal, or unsustainable, right? So you could realize at that time that you can't keep explaining yourself to someone who refuses to listen. Okay, it probably sounds really familiar to a lot of you. Okay, then we'll move into on November 8th when the moon enters Scorpio. And that's where Mercury is retrograde right here and crosses back into Scorpio. Okay, so the moon is entering Scorpio on the 18th, and Mercury is going to cross back into Scorpio, okay, at the same time. Now, this is where the real story resurfaces, okay? So an example may be a memory returns, or a message shows up, or a truth that you've avoided is suddenly undeniable. It's right in your face. Okay. That could happen on the 18th, right? Then we come up to that Wednesday, either the 19th for some of you it's the 20th, the new moon, right? So that Scorpio new moon that's conjunct Mercury retrograde, right? It's got Lilith in there, and then it's sextiling Pluto right here, okay, in Aquarius. So this right here, this new moon, is the moment the truth becomes a decision, okay? This is where the reset is, all right? Then we move into Thursday. This is where the release valve, and Thursday and Friday, it's going to feel sort of the same. You're going to have that release valve. This is where it opens. This is where Sagittarius, the moon goes into Sagittarius. So all of a sudden, what you thought was so intense, or what you felt was so intense, your perspective is going to change, return. Okay. So your breathing is going to return. Your optimism is going to return, right? Your perspective returns. And you'll see where a path is opening. All right. So all of a sudden you'll wake up and you can see the solution, or you can see the way out where you hadn't been in the last week, or actually for some of you it's like 2 or 3 weeks, or you can see the next step, right? That's what's going to happen as the moon comes in here. Okay. And it's going to activate Mars, right? Then on Saturday, a lot of you could have breakthrough. So this is where the sun, so not only the moon, but this is where the sun is going to enter. The moon is just helping you feel it. The sun is going to show it to you. The sun enters Sagittarius, right? So the fire returns and the momentum begins, right? This is where your energy lifts. You're seeing it better. You're feeling better. You have the energy to do it. Your courage returns. Your direction sharpens. You're like, oh, I know exactly what I've got to do, right? Like that energy will happen like when the sun moves into Sagittarius, okay? So hang in there for the beginning of the week. Really step into um, what I've said. You can watch this video as many times as you want, but really step into what I've said, because it's going to help you when it changes. When the moon goes into Sagittarius and then the sun goes into Sagittarius, it's really going to change it, okay? So, beautiful ones, this is the week where honesty becomes direction. Not loud honesty, not dramatic honesty, but clean, clear honesty. The kind that frees you. The Scorpio new moon is not asking you to collapse into your old story. The Scorpio New Moon is asking you to end it. And Sagittarius, he's not asking for perfection. He's asking for movement. So let the truth that rises this week guide you towards the life that matches it. Let the truth you speak become the doorway to the future you're stepping into. Let the truth you choose become the foundation you build on. Because the moment you honor your truth, your timeline shifts. Thank you for walking this path with me. I'm Cindi, and this is Forecast That Shift Timelines, where the stars don't control us. They remind us. And if this forecast spoke to you, subscribe, share, so that others find the clarity that they're ready for. And beautiful ones, if you're feeling this week's truth in your chest, if something in you is rising and asked to be lived, don't walk through these energies alone. You don't have to. Inside the inner pathway, we don't just talk about the transits, we embody them. This week, we're going to be working through the deep dive. That's where we do a guided breakdown. If you want to see my other past deep dives, I've got some on my channel. And this is a guided breakdown of the Scorpio New Moon this week. This is where I take certain aspects, the main aspects, and we really dive deep, okay? Where we explore the truth about your body and the truth your body is trying to tell you, and the emotional contracts that are ending. We also do an embodiment practice. This is a somatic steps to take or ritual designed to help you release the Scorpio pressure and to open the nervous system into Sagittarius clarity. So we'll do breath work, grounding, and a truth-centered sequence so that the decisions you make come from alignment, not urgency. We also do the guided transmission. This is a channeled experience to help you cross the threshold between who you've been and who you're becoming. So the truth rising this week becomes direction and not you being overwhelmed. If you're ready to feel the sky in your body, to translate these transits into lived clarity and ground action, come join me inside the inner pathway, our members only sanctuary where astrology becomes experience and remembering becomes your reality. But until then, beautiful ones, keep your frequency clear, your choices intentional, and your heart in the flow.